Welcome back, everyone. It's me, Matt, and as always, I'm thrilled to have you join me on the channel today. Let's kick things off with a bit of a fun one. Drop me a comment below and let me know what your favorite self-propelled howitzer is. For me, today's topic might just introduce actually a new contender for me personally to the field in this particular avenue. Let me tell you though, I've stumbled upon something that's not really just caught my attention with this vehicle we're talking about today, but also the attention of many experts in the defense sector who have shared their insights with me and those who are actually working in this program. Yes, I actually know people within the program who have given me some really good input as to how incredible this bit of kit is, and unfortunately I can't digress more than that. All I will say is that it is an exciting platform, and I didn't even know about it. I honestly have been confused with this vehicle with many other wheeled platforms and SPG configurations, because there are quite a few wheeled SPGs out there today, but there are nowhere near as much cool as the one we're looking at today. We're diving into the RCH-155 Remote-Controlled Howitzer, a vehicle that has completely blindsided me, and I didn't even know it existed until recently, and now that I've started digging into it and talking to those subject matter experts, I can't stop geeking on about how incredible it actually is. This thing is essentially a boxer chassis with a 155mm L52 gun, the same beast that is used on the Panzerhaubitze 2000, which was, I guess, my previous favourite self-propelled artillery platform out there, and has been crafted by none other than Krauss-Maffei Wegmann. And let's face it, German engineering rarely disappoints, and I've always been a huge fan of the Panzerhaubitze 2000, arguably the pinnacle of self-propelled artillery. And back when I served alongside the German army and the British army when I was posted there, the AS-90 crews couldn't help but envy its speed and robustness. And myself, when I see them charging down the range roads or overtaking Challenger 2 convoys, considering the size of them, they're pretty damn impressive. And the RCH-155 is no exception to that in a wheeled configuration. It takes things to a whole new level. With automation and focus on the modern warfare platform, this howitzer redefines what modern artillery can do, especially with firing on the move. Yes, firing a 155mm gun on the move, which is a capability unheard of in a caliber of this size. Now, I'll admit I was a little skeptical. When I was first told about this thing and what it can do, as an artillery gunner myself today, as a reservist in field artillery, using towed artillery, I was like, shoot and scoot, yeah, okay, but firing on the move, yeah, no. And I know how critical shoot and scoot tactics are, but firing while in motion really threw my mind. It's almost unheard of a projectile of this size on a platform of this size as well, firing on the move. Mortars, very common. It's slowly starting to turn into a very norm thing in the mortar world, having the mortars being fired on the move, because it is a higher trajectory ammunition than it is a 155mm gun. Just the way artillery works, there's so much more involvement, particularly with recoil, setup, trajectory, ballistics, but a weapon of this caliber firing of this type of movement is really game-changing, and it's exciting. The platform isn't just about its mobility, though, it's all about its survivability too, and in modern artillery warfare, as we've seen in Ukraine, this really demands rapid deployment and quick exits. Drones and counter-battery radar have really made traditional emplacements almost obsolete. We don't have regiments of artillery sitting in place for long periods of time now, particularly in Ukraine, because it doesn't take long for a drone to come find you, and counter-battery artillery fire, as we've talked about many times on this channel, is very sophisticated in tracking projectiles back to their originator and firing back at them. But if you have a platform that is basically firing on the move, it's making it near impossible for counter-battery systems to find it. Combine this with the extended range and precision range ammunition in 155mm that's available, you've got a system that's actually totally rewriting the rules of engagement and tactics used by modern artillery. And let's talk a little bit about the actual engineering into this marvel itself. It can be mounted in two different configurations, the 10x10 Piranha platform or the 8x8 Boxer, which I have a strong connection and passion for as well, because it is supporting the modern infantry fleet for the British Army, both renowned for their off-road capabilities and rugged reliability. These vehicles are certainly one of the best platforms, I would say, to put this kind of gun platform onto. And you're probably wondering, why am I so excited about this particular gun platform? Well, as many of you may know, the artillery is the king of battle. I'm a proud gunner myself, but the weapon of the artillery is actually The projectile, yes. The projectile is classified in the artillery as the weapon, not the firing of the projectile from the gun. And as you know, the projectile is in extreme demand across the world. There is so much ammunition being used, particularly 155mm ammunition, and we're seeing such huge, sophisticated advancements with ammunition, projected range of up to 76 kilometers. You'd want something that accompanies all these fancy new ammunitions with a platform that can utilize them properly. Things like Excalibur, all the precision guidance and long-range ammunition. If you can put it into a weapon system that can fire and not be found, that's game-changing. It completely redefines artillery of today. And the exciting thing about this platform is not only can it turn into a indirect fire platform, but it could also turn into somewhat of a tank. And unlike traditional artillery, this platform doesn't just rely on stabilization legs like the Caesar does, and its turret can fire 360 degrees and turn into a hunter-killer capability as well, so that in a pinch, if you get engaged, you can actually fire as a tank a 150mm round at your target, pop smoke and pull out of there, protecting the vehicle even more and increasing that survivability. And that's a level of versatility we don't typically see in self-propelled artillery platforms in a wheeled configuration. The mere fact that it can fire at any angle at any point of the gun platform at 360 degrees without having to set up legs is incredible. At a cost of 12 million euros per unit, it's certainly a hefty investment though. But what are you getting for that? I mean, you're getting automation, mobility, versatility, survivability, and it's a price tag I think in modern artillery is something you're going to want to pay for. You're making a worthy investment. It's a bit of a statement about where modern artillery is heading. So let's get a little bit deeper into what this vehicle is all about. So the vehicle has gained its most significant attention following a request in July 2022 by Ukraine's Ministry of Defense for 18 units valued at approximately 216 million euros or 226 million US dollars. These systems are expected to bolster Ukraine's artillery capabilities with deliveries planned for 2025. Meanwhile, the Bundeswehr began testing the RCH-155 in February 2023, marking its potential adaptation into the broader NATO artillery operations. Derived from the highly respected Panzerhaubitze 2000 system, the RCH-155 pairs proven artillery firepower with a very formidable wheeled platform. This flexible and protected long-range artillery system measures 10.4 meters in length, 2.99 meters in width, and 3.6 meters in height, and a combined weight fully loaded at 39 tons, it's able to be utilized upon low-weight bridges and, of course, rail flats or driving itself across long distances without a huge amount of fuel consumption. It accommodates just a crew of 2 members and a testament to its emphasis on automation and efficiency. It integrates the Artillery Gun Module, or AGM, a fully automatic turret onto the Boxer chassis, an armoured wheel platform renowned for its mobility. Now, the artillery gun module system is very modular, and it is a network-based architecture which offers potential upgrades like autonomous driving and remote-controlled operations, basically turning this vehicle into its own RC artillery gun, future-proofing the platform for potential evolving battlefield needs. As we probably know, though, we're not going to have remote-controlled artillery for the near future, but it could happen, allowing, if they want to upgrade this system to turn into a drone artillery platform, which again, never heard of. We don't have drone artillery. We've had drone tanks, drone armored personnel carriers, drone reconnaissance vehicles. Very rarely do we hear of something that is autonomous and fully remote controlled in a 155mm setup. And it's really pushing for minimal human input even with it not being remote controlled. It is equipped with systems to provide fire control, ballistic calculation, and precise navigation on the move prior to even getting to the position, allowing it to basically consider where it needs to shoot, go to that location, and as soon as it stops, fire, and off it goes again. There is absolutely no requirement to mess around with target calculation like I have to do when we get into a gun position. It is all done straight away for you in any conditions, any weather. And the vehicle does have some nice features inside of there to keep the crew happy. It's got heating and cooling systems. It can be upgraded with armor packages on the sides, similar to the Boxer system, where if you want to put modular armor on there, you can. But for the most part, it's pretty protective against 14.5mm or fragmentation or shrapnel ammunition from artillery that could be coming against it. But at this point, I don't think it's even going to be able to be found before it even gets around coming towards it. It does have a built-in test equipment to maintain its operational readiness because it does have a large lot of technology in there. You'd want something that puts you ready to go if it's crucial in a high-pressure scenario, with a test system that basically runs the whole system through a quick blanket test to make sure everything's operational instead of going through checklists, because the more tech you put in something like an artillery piece, the less time it is actually getting into a fire mission. At the core of its firepower is the NATO-compliant 155mm reliable L-52 main gun. This gun can fire up to 9 rounds per minute, reaching targets and ranges of up to 40 kilometers just with standard ammunition. And the extended range capabilities are even more impressive, reaching up to 54 kilometers using advanced projectiles like the Volcano and the Excalibur. The combat load includes 30 ready-to-fire projectiles and 144 modular propelling charges, giving it significant staying in the power of a firefight or fire mission. Now you're probably wondering, why does it have 30 projectiles and 144 modular charges? It doesn't make sense. Well, each charge is added to that projectile, giving it further range. So if you're firing at 54 kilometers, you're obviously going to need to add 4 or 5 or whatever max of charge you need inside of there. It doesn't need to match 1-to-1. It's not like a tank round. But logistics is key. So these things are going to need to be fed quite often. 30 rounds actually isn't a huge amount of ammunition, but for a self-propelled gun, yeah, it's really not too bad. I mean, you don't need to be firing more than 30 rounds in a straight fire mission, because you're going to have a battery of these vehicles working together. And even if you did need to fire all 30 rounds, you're going to be able to get in and out of there fairly quickly to resupply at a moving resupply with ammunition somewhere else. So I don't really worry too much about its ammunition capacity. I think 30 is a formidable setup, but it does have the ability to fire multiple round simultaneous impact, or MRSI. This isn't new. Many other platforms do this, even on the older platforms today, where several rounds are fired in quick succession and hit a target simultaneously. This feature alone adds a level of tactical flexibility that most artillery systems don't really perfect. But when you add on top of this the multiple round simultaneous impact firing on the move, you're turning one self-propelled artillery platform to stand alone as if it's firing from 5 or 6 different guns. Basically, the enemy thinks that there's an entire artillery regiment out there where it's basically just 4 weapon systems firing in different angles of adjustment of the gun to make sure that the rounds all hit at the same point of impact, that the time of which they were fired from the gun. It's incredible to have multiple rounds in the sky and all land at the same point from just firing at different angles and different timings. It's all trajectory and ballistics. Blows my mind how, the computers and the technology can keep up with stuff like that, but added on the move, it really is very, very exciting for me as an artillery gunner. I think it's incredible, and I think we're going to see a lot more of it. There's so much fight back against rocket artillery and traditional artillery, but I think this is actually starting to push back on rocket artillery and saying, yeah, we have a bit of a game changer here. With a 2-man crew, I think it's pretty obvious to say it has its own automated loaded system for both the projectile and charges, and fuses as well, combining it all together in an advanced gun laying technology, ensuring that it can fire the gun quickly and very efficiently. There's nothing worse than having to swap fuses, adjust bag charges, etc. The gun does it all for you. There's even an option, as I mentioned before, as a direct laying capability, using integrated optronics for precision targeting on the flat trajectories, basically turning it into somewhat of a tank destroyer with 360 degrees of engagement. It is a 155mm tank if it wanted to be. In terms of mobility, it is powered by an MTU V8 199T2 21 engine with a capacity of 600 kilowatts or 816 horsepower. That is a beast of an engine. It boasts a top speed of 100 kilometers an hour on road and can cover more than 700 kilometers on a single tank of fuel. Normal NATO standard during the Cold War was 500 kilometers. Most British Army vehicles anyway had to achieve a 500 kilometer range. This vehicle can push out to 700 kilometers, and it needs to, because in today's battlefield, when you're having projectiles that can push out 56 kilometers or potentially further, you want to extend its legs, get it around the battlefield, utilize those flanks, and truly do what artillery needs to do, which is a massive standoff indirect fire weapon. And with having the fuel range, you give it the ability to resupply, to transition shoot and scoot, to maybe a more standard battery where it's just firing in an placed position. There's so much opportunity with an extended range fuel tank like that, allowing you to go wherever you need it to go. Its off-road capabilities are also very impressive, with the ground clearance of 0.5 meters and the ability to ford water depths of up to 2 meters. The vehicle can handle steep gradients, side slopes, and even climb up steps of 0.8 meters high, similar to that of a bloody tank, making it highly versatile in various terrains. One of the most groundbreaking aspects, though, is of course that firing in motion. This was demonstrated publicly during a live firing event at the Klitz military training area in Germany. Artillery experts confirmed that this was likely a first ever done with a 155mm howitzer. While smaller systems like mortars have achieved this capability, applying it to a system of this size and firepower has been unprecedented. This innovation really reduces the system's vulnerability to counter-battery radar, and it can fire and reposition almost simultaneously, making it incredibly difficult to target, even for drones. Additionally, the RCH-155 features the hunter-killer capability for direct fire engagements and even has its own optronic tracker similar to that of a CITV or Commander's Independent Thermal Viewer like a tank, so it can actually have the commander searching for targets and the operation of the gun from the second in command of the vehicle, the driver, in that two-man crew. And by integrating a remote weapon system, it can even protect itself from targets that are around the area that may be dismounted, to allow them to fire the main gun automatically from one person and defend the gun from something else in the distance with a remote weapon system like a 50 caliber or a 7.62mm machine gun. This capability was also demonstrated during the live firing test, showcasing the system's versatility in both direct and indirect fire, as well as protecting itself from any insurgency roles that are trying to take out the vehicle in a dismounted or infantry setting. And with all this excitement, of course, the system has attracted huge interest from several nations in the artillery world. During the live demonstration, representatives from the German Army, the British Army, and procurement officials from other countries, including Qatar, were present, and they were very impressed. Both Germany and the UK are exploring the potential for new artillery systems, and Germany sees the RCH-155 as a complement to the Panzerhaubitze 2000, while the British Army is strongly considering the replacement for its aging AS-90 systems. The RCH-155 is a technological achievement for the artillery world. It's a response to an evolving nature of warfare where speed, mobility, and automation are more critical than ever, and in the ever-growing demand of drone attack, which is just becoming so predominantly known in the tanking world, artillery is no exception to this. While it comes as a huge price tag of 12 million euros per unit, its advanced capabilities really do offer significant tactical advantages for artillery that could justify the investment in the right scenarios. So there you have it, folks, a comprehensive look at this platform. I would love to know what you think of this particular vehicle. Is this the future of self-propelled artillery? Is firing on the move? Is it being somewhat of a tank destroyer as a secondary, the key part of modern artillery? It's a simple but I would say very incremental step forward for me, and I do think this is going to be the future of artillery. I think we're going to stop begging into the world of rocket artillery so much and start looking at traditional projectiles, the weapon of the artillery, into a sort of more technologically advanced setup where we can fire on the move, where we can multiple round simultaneous impact fire on the move, where we can have the ability to defend the gun platform if we have to, not just with, the gun itself, but remote weapon systems. Being able to move 700 kilometers around a battlefield is huge for me as well. I know that's kind of a small side note, but it's big. It is big because you don't need to worry about the rest of the battle group. You can go wherever you want at 700 kilometers. You're not having to be protected by armored battle groups, infantry carriers. You're your own standalone regiment, standalone battery, can go just about everywhere. And with the extended range ammunition, I mean, this thing is just deadly. And as always, as an artillery gunner, I'm always going to say artillery is the king of battle. But what do you know? What do you think? Let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your opinion. Thanks again so much for joining me today. It means a lot. The algorithm's always against me, so if you could give me a huge support in just leaving me a comment, leave me a little like, and if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. It really does help me go into my own little passion and project of YouTube and give you more content for the future. Thanks again, folks, and have a wonderful day. All the best. Bye-bye.